right, episode 54.
Woo!
Here we are.
Guest from my childhood, my best friend, Matt Billings. Matthew Spencer Billings.
That's right. Thanks for having me.
Yep.
It's getting ready to come out. We're getting ready to tell some stories.
This
Lots
could be
of
pretty
stories.
epic. I'm super pumped about this.
We actually went on the me and Matt went on the hunting trip, the elk trip. So we were going to kind of recap that a little bit, maybe tell some other stories. I don't know what you guys want to talk about, but I figured we haven't really talked at all about the hunting trip, other than we didn't. You can go ahead and for those who are vegetarians, you can listen to the rest of the podcast because we did not kill anything.
Right. They were elusive. The elk was elusive.
They were very elusive.
Elusive.
But we had a good time. We had a great trip. It was very trying, that's for sure. But I think we had a good time.
Yeah,
How
it was a
long
good
have you
time.
two known each other?
Yeah.
How long does this go?
Second grade, we were on Environmental 1. No, was it Art and Frame?
Art and frame. And then
Baseball?
Baseball was first, or Pee Wee football?
I think it was the same. Like we were
Same
we were
time
on-
period?
Yeah, we were on baseball first, and then we were on the same football team.
Yeah.
So we were like, oh, cool.
Say
And so we became friends from there, and then I moved
20,
up.
25 years plus, something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
You guys are neighbors now. So
We're
you
neighbors
live
now.
just up the road from
Yeah,
each other.
so
Right.
I guess when we were 6 or 7, we became friends, and then
So that was
when
second grade.
when I was like 11 or 12, we moved up here.
Right.
But we hung out a bunch before that. Stayed at each other's houses and stuff.
You guys have some crazy stories.
We do have.
I wish we could just like get into all
I
of them, and I
know.
know we probably can't. But
we
man,
can get into
you guys,
some, but yeah.
God, I laugh so hard.
I mean,
We've been through it together. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, you got some cool like Pee Wee football stories.
Yeah.
I've heard some of those.
We got some football stories. We have some baseball stories. We have some
Pushing friends in the lake stories.
middle
We have
school
some-
stories. We have high school
Jeez.
stories. We have college stories. We have grown-up stories.
Yeah.
Right.
oh my
Been around
gosh.
a long time.
And now we have a hunting story.
We have a hunting story. I don't know. What do you guys want to know about the hunting story?
Well, I think it starts with that whole, the getting to go up to Barrett, and
Oh, yeah.
that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I mean,
So Barrett. Well, first of all, we had Elk Creek Outfitters. They let us come out there. Gave us a pretty good rate on both of us hunting. We had a guide, Matt Brown. He was a pretty cool dude.
Yeah, he was a cool dude.
Montana?
Montana.
What does a guide
Heron-
mean?
Heron, Montana. So a guide is basically they know the area. They kind of know where the elk are or whatever animal you're hunting. They know the areas that they like to be in.
Are you like on a trail, or are you like freestyling through the woods?
It was a lot of freestyle. We
Okay.
freestyled a
Wow.
lot.
So you like have to really know how to navigate.
Yeah. Matt. I mean, he was really good at. When I say Matt, I'm not talking about this Matt. I'm talking about Matt Brown.
Matt Brown.
The guide. He knew his stuff. He was like I said, he was local.
Yeah, he's like a guy that's like a career hunter. It's his job to put us on his best ability to find elk and that kind of thing.
Yeah, he's actually owns a logging business as well for the off season. So he's a pretty good dude, hard worker. He tried, man. He said it was the hardest he's ever worked and not seen anything.
Wow.
Jeez.
Just wasn't meant to be this time,
Yeah,
but
so-
you have the experience still.
Me and other Matt hiked about 60 miles in 6
Jeez.
days. This Matt hiked probably 30 of that.
Probably 30. Yeah,
30.
30 was good for me.
Yeah. But yeah, the lodge, it was cool. We show up. You have to show your license, your hunting license, because you have to get a tag. And so what people don't understand, we'll talk a little bit about hunting, but you can't just like go out and shoot and kill something. Like there's actual like the number of tags that are given out that next year are based on the numbers of the herds. So there's all kind of management and different things that are taken into account. Preservation, and all this money, or not all this money, but a lot of this money goes back to
Sure.
conservation. So it's
Sure.
not just like hunting gets a bad rap, but it's needed, and people have always been part of the equation when it comes
For
to,
sure.
the food chain. So
People don't understand that the money that the hunters pay for the licenses
for the license, for the guns, for the ammo, for
Right.
everything.
that goes into taking care of the animals.
Yes.
And for the most part, that's where the money comes from. That takes care of the animals.
Exactly.
Right.
And so, soapbox there. So we show up, sight our guns in, make sure they're good to go from traveling a little bit. You have a main lodge where everybody kind of hangs out and they feed you, and then you have your own cabin. And so we had a little cabin there. It's got running water. It's got heat and air.
Right.
Is the lodge in the middle of nowhere? Like how far off the beaten track is the lodge?
We flew into Spokane, Washington, and drove 2 hours to get there. We could have flew into Missoula and drove another 2 hours, but there were more flights into Spokane, so we took the Spokane route. trying to think of what else was. Yeah, so Barrett gave us 270 Fieldcrafts that we used.
What'd you think of that gun? Good gun?
Oh, man, it's awesome.
Light, super light.
Yeah.
I think it weighs 5 pounds.
Oh, jeez.
Wow.
Kimber actually gave me a 30-06, but I didn't take it because we thought we'd have to shoot something a little farther away with the 270, so I took that. King's Camo gave us some pretty cool stuff. It was all real tree pattern, but it was like kind of like performance-based hunting gear, which was really cool. Was it Stikra? I don't really know how to pronounce it, but they gave us optics for the so like binoculars and a spotting scope. I'm trying to think of who else.
The awesome packs.
Oh yeah, the packs from Outdoorsman.
Yeah,
they were cool. It was really cool. We didn't really use the long range packs. We used just backpacks every day. But so I mean, when we were hiking with probably 10, 15 pounds, and then plus the gun, something like that.
Jeez.
And you had the best equipment then, sounds like.
Yeah, it was great.
Sounds like
it was awesome. But yeah, so you kind of I guess the structure for the day is we'd wake up at about 5:30, 6 o'clock.
Right.
Head down to the lodge. They'd feed you breakfast. I didn't eat breakfast because I was obviously doing my fasting.
I ate extra.
And they give you a little lunch bag, like a little plastic lunch bag, and you'd grab your lunch, and it usually had some type of sandwich in there, either like peanuts or a granola bar,
Candy bar.
some type of candy bar or dessert in there, and then like, I don't know, one other thing usually. And then you could grab an extra peanut butter and jelly. So
that was catch that on the first day.
Yeah, me either. I missed the peanut butter and jelly on the first day. But every day after that, I took full advantage of the peanut butter and jelly.
It's interesting that, I guess, as you're setting the scene, you guys are both different in that when it comes to hunting,
complete
you
opposite.
have zero patience.
Yep.
You want to chase something.
Mm-hmm.
You have a ton of patience.
Right.
And you'd like to set up and,
Stock
get in a spot and stock it down. So you guys kind of have different
complete
ideas
opposite.
going. How did that kind of play out?
At first, so you get your lunch. This is the first day. We get our lunch. Matt, our guide, was like, "All right, we're gonna go out to this spot. He's like, it's a little steep to start, but whatever." So we get out of the truck.
First thing he said is, he's giving us a pep talk in the truck.
Yeah.
He's like, and I told him, I was like, yeah, I'm a little nervous about the terrain, the altitude. I didn't train for this, just average guy. And he was like, "Now I know you guys won't be able to keep up with us in the truck." He goes, "I just want you to go at your own pace." And I was like, "Okay, that sounds good."
Right.
And so we'd walk probably a couple minutes, stop, walk a couple minutes. But anyway, as soon as we get out of the truck, we hear one bugle, like literally foot out of the truck. Like, in bugle is their call, the male's call, and you're like, "All right."
Oh, and it's awesome.
So you're like, "Sweet, first day, first foot on the ground, we're ready to go." So we start hiking up the hill, and he's like, "We're going to get to a spot where we can glass." And glass means just, kind of use binoculars, use spotting scope, try to find something. So we're sitting there. First spot we get to, about, half mile away, maybe.
Right, yeah.
There's a herd of 18?
Yeah,
10,
18, 20.
18, 20 elk. We're like, all right, this is good. Not one elk after that. Well, I didn't see an elk. Matt saw an elk but didn't shoot it later.
Right.
We'll get to that. So then we decide to keep hiking to another spot, a little higher up. Good. We start hiking, and I think by this time the guide's kind of like, all right, Matt's not really enjoying this. So he's like, "Matt, why don't you stay at this lookout point? We're going to walk all the way up to the top, and we're going to look kind of on the back side of this mountain." Because at first I think he was like, maybe we'll just stay at this lower end, but then he saw that I could kind of go. So
is it better from a strategy standpoint when you're elk hunting to be sitting somewhere or to be going after it? Like, is there one or the other that's better?
It kind of depends. It depends on what they're doing. And when we went, it was full moon and what they call bluebird skies. So with a full moon, they're going to go nocturnal. So they're going to feed at night. You're not going to be able to find them. So we would try to get out early in the morning and spot them, or late at night and spot them and try to set up to wherever they were going to be. But we couldn't even do that because the window was so small and we never saw anything.
Right.
So the idea was, it was hot. So Matt set up at a watering hole a couple days, little like spring fed little thing.
It's a real thing, a watering hole.
It really is. And then me and Matt, the other Matt, would kind of creep around and try to find something bedded up. And so we had kind of two different strategies, and we thought that covered both, all the bases. And really it played to what I wanted to do and played to what he wanted to do.
Yeah, it was a good option there.
But so back to the first day, he's like, "Matt, why don't you stay here?" And Matt's like, I think I can go a little further.
Well, it took us so long to get there. Like, it was
a long day. We were on our feet a lot, and we were just kind of.
But it didn't feel like we had walked as far as we did because all day ordeal.
And so we get about halfway to where we were going to end, and Matt's like, I think this would be a good spot for me to set up. And he's literally just on the side of a cliff, like down by this like little tree, trying to like see some areas. And so me and other Matt climb up to the top, and we're up there glassing a little bit on the backside. We see some mule deer, but no elk. I walked another probably mile or two just along the ridge, trying to just see if I could see anything else. And then it's getting dark, so we're like, all right, let's go back and pick up Billings. And so we're walking down. Matt comes up, and the guide, Matt, was like, all right, it's going to take about an hour and a half to get down, but, be pretty easy till we get to the end, and it's pretty steep. They call it toe jam hill or whatever.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because you're just jamming your feet in your boots. And the worst part is always going down your knees.
Oh,
and
yeah.
It's just awful.
That's just.
Climbing's better than going down.
Yeah, because that's not as natural.
Right.
Well,
Right.
so.
Not what I was expecting. I was expecting the hard part to be going up.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And
Right.
so we we're going down. I think it took us 2.5 hours to get down.
And it was supposed to take an hour and a half?
Yeah. We would walk
Oh,
for a couple minutes. We'd wait. You'd see Matt's light come wandering. I didn't have a headlamp either, so I'm just following along with other Matt and trying to like stay in his steps. And then finally he realized he had another headlamp. And so we would walk. We'd wait 5 or 6 minutes. Matt would catch up. We'd give him a minute or two. We'd walk. We'd wait 5 or 6 minutes. He'd catch up. And by the end, Matt looks like a ghost. By the time we get down to the truck, he's like, can't figure out. Like, we're down at the truck. And he's like, how do I get down there? He's like full
Where
on
am I?
panic mode almost, basically. And so we get back in the truck, and he's just a zombie. And Matt's trying to talk, and this Matt's not talking.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to talk back and forth with him, trying to figure out what the plan is for tomorrow and all that stuff. And we get back to the lodge, and it's 10:30 at this point. So we've been up since 5:30 because we were like, all right, let's go. When really we should have got up about 5:45 or 6.
Right.
And we didn't get back till 10:30 that night.
Wow.
We would have been on our feet most of the day. It was like 13 miles, like I said. And so we, I'm eating some of the, because what they'll do is if they'll cook dinner, and then they'll just put the leftovers in the fridge, and you just grab them, throw them in the microwave. Well, so I ate all the food that was in the fridge, I'm pretty sure. And I'm trying to get him to eat. And he's like, man, I can't eat. I'm going to throw up. I feel like I got, he's like, I think I got the flu. Like he went and talked to Kelly. He disappeared to the bathroom for a little while. I'm like, Matt might be dead.
That's a rough first day.
That was the
like,
first day.
It was
Yeah.
like 30 minutes,
Jeez.
45 minutes. And I'm like, all right, let's go back up to bed. I was like, you need to eat something. So I grab him a plate, takes a shower. I'm like, you need to eat. He's like, I can't eat. I can't eat. If I eat, I'm going to throw up. I'm like, but if you don't eat, you're not like, you're going to be crushed. He's like, I
Right.
can't eat. So I make him eat a granola bar. I felt like his dad.
Took like a little bite and hit it.
And so he's like,
Put it in your pocket.
he's like, I don't think I'm going tomorrow. I was like, Matt, we're here. You have to go hunting tomorrow. He's like, I don't think I can go. I'm like, let's just see in the morning.
Oh my
So
gosh.
alarm goes off at 5:45, 6, something like that. And he's like, I'm not going. I'm like, you're going. He's like, I'm not going. Leave me here. He's like,
Well, to be fair, you, Matt, you are an experienced hunter. You hunt a lot.
I do hunt a lot, correct?
You hunt a ton. That's kind of your thing.
Right.
And here in Tennessee, I mean, you've taken me
Right.
hunting on multiple occasions.
Right.
So that's something that you do. But how was this experience kind of different from what you traditionally do hunting
And I
wise?
kind of knew that it would be a lot of. Well, actually, to be honest with you, I was under the impression, not under the impression, but I expected to maybe take a horse
Right.
up the really
Yeah,
rough,
that's cool.
really rough terrain,
To take
and
a
then
horse.
we get up to where the horses can't go anywhere. Then we walk.
Right.
Well, we got there, and the guide, everybody has their preference. The guide's preference was not to take horses.
Right.
So
the guy hated horses,
And
and
Rich-
that's all Matt wanted to do was
Rich
take
was,
a freaking
oh man,
horse.
when the guy said he didn't use horses, Rich's eyes got big. He got excited.
I was like, I don't want to. I'm not.
Well,
I'm
going
like-
into this,
part of my
you and
soul
I
just
had
died.
you and I had a conversation.
Right.
And this is the fittest man in the world.
Right.
And he doesn't want to sit still.
Right.
And you've hunted with him before where he's run all over the freaking mountain. There's
Oh, yeah.
story after story of people try to hunt with him.
Right.
And he trains to do all that.
Sure. Yeah.
So you and I talked about that right off the bat. It was like, you were like, man, he's not going to get to work out all week.
Right.
So I got to be careful for that because you were afraid maybe he would just get bored.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of played into his hands a little bit, getting to roam all over the
Oh, it
freaking
was
countryside.
it was perfect.
Perfect
Yeah.
opportunity for Rich.
But
not so perfect for me as far as all the activity, which I love to hunt, love to get out and walk the mountains, all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. But it's hard, And
I don't think people really understand.
No,
You
they
get in
don't.
that kind of terrain.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, at altitude too.
It wasn't that much altitude.
No?
Well, yeah, it was like same-ish as here, starting out, and then when you get to the top of the mountain, we'd probably hike 4,000 or 5,000 feet up. But I mean, it wasn't like it wasn't as crazy as you weren't. I was not. At no point did I feel the altitude. I don't know if you did.
No, I didn't really feel altitude.
Prior to this hunt, what was the most physical hunt you've done?
Me or him?
Him.
Our turkey hunt?
Yeah, I mean, this was my first experience going to the Midwest or to the West to do any type of hunting. So, I mean, I really didn't have a hard hunt besides, around here, which, I don't know if people know where we live. It is on a mountain.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
the terrain was not a lot different from here, but it was exaggerated as far as, you hike a hill here, it's 150 yards. Over there, it's 3-4 miles.
Right.
Yeah.
That was the main difference. And, my body just really wasn't prepared for it.
Yeah.
It's funny because you watch, there's all kinds of hunting videos and people out there, Cam Haines and people talking about, trying to be in shape to do some of those kind of things. And I just don't think that the average person really understands what you're talking about you did.
Yeah,
as far
as physically, at no point was I like, man, this is hard. Mentally, though, there were some days, like day 4 was one of the hardest days mentally I've ever been through. It was just frustrating trying to go, and because you're not just hiking. Like I said, physically it was probably a 6 out of 10, something like that.
Right.
But then if you add in the mental piece, it made it like 8 out of 10 because you're up and over stuff. You're carrying a pack. You're carrying a gun. Stuff's like, if we would get off of an elk trail or get into what they call blowdown, which is just trees that have fallen down because they've died or whatever, and there were spots where it looked like a tornado came through. And so you're just like up and over and around and down and up and over and around. And then at one point we got off an elk trail, and Matt, the guide, was like, all right, we're just going to, instead of going back up, we'll just bomb down this hill and we'll have somebody pick us up and take us back to the top. And I'm like, man, I feel like going up's a little easier. He's like, we get down in this mess. And it was, like I said, it was one of the worst things I've ever been through, because you'd get down to the bottom of these hills and it would just drop straight off, basically. Not rock face, but like soft dirt. So you just slide down. Well, then we would get into like thick brush, so we'd have to go back up the other side. We'd walk a little while, get into thick brush, go back down, get back in it. It was awful, but it was good. But
so day 1, it's kind of, okay, this is what it is.
Yep. And so day 2, Matt doesn't go.
You didn't go? You ended up staying in bed?
And
I'm in bad shape.
And I'm like,
it's all right.
Well,
recovery.
So me and other Matt, we go out and we try to get to this one spot, this place where we can spot. Nothing. We see nothing. So we go hiking around, climb up to this other overlook. Nothing. And so he's like, all right, let's go back. Let's get Matt, see what he's wanting to do. This was the only day we went back to the lodge in the middle of the day. Every other day we were gone from sun up to sundown. So we go back to the lodge. Matt had just woken up. It was like 11:30. And I'm like, you ready to go? He's like, I think I'm going to sit today. I was like, let's go put you in a stand. Like, that's what you want to do, is sit in a stand anyway. I was like,
this was a third day or second day?
Second day.
Second day.
I was like, let's put you in a stand.
Lunch.
So
okay.
you
went
Rich
peer pressured me into going.
I'm always good for some peer pressure.
Right.
Usually the good kind. And so you went and sat in a stand.
Right.
Where did we take you that day?
To one of Matt's.
Did you go to 12 or did you go
no,
to
it wasn't 12. It was a different one.
Okay. I don't remember which that one was. I just remember, let's see, day 2. Yep, nothing. I just put Matt might be dead on here.
I'm pretty sure I did.
There's a
die.
couple
I'm
of
not gonna
times
lie.
that says Matt might be dead, and then there's one that says Matt's back. Man, so there was no trails. There was a lot of straight up climbs and descents. Oh, this was the one day we went straight down the mountain, and then Maynard came and picked us up. There was this guy. They have a guy. So to be a guide, you have to go through a class. But then you also have to basically get hazed by the outfitter that you're going to work for.
Okay.
And this guy named Maynard, he's from Maine.
He's
Maynard from
they
Maine.
call it apprentice.
Apprentice.
Right.
And so he would basically, if you got off of a trail and he needed to hit a road, they'd pick you up in this like 70s model Suburban and run you back to wherever you needed to get your truck or whatever.
Okay.
And Maynard, he was a funny guy. And what else? That was pretty much day 2. I saw a lot of elk crap. I mean, I'm a professional in elk crap.
Yeah, Rich, we'd be walking down the road and he'd be telling me, this is a bull elk, this is a cow elk.
Right on.
He had it figured out.
Okay.
Really?
I learned a lot from Matt, actually. He was pretty cool
Well,
about
what's
like,
the difference?
So usually if it's a cow elk, a female elk, it's just a bunch of little pellets. And then if it's a bull, usually they're pellets, but they're kind of like pushed together, smashed together. So it's, I don't know, that's what Matt said.
Wow.
Is there a reason why?
No, I don't know.
Okay.
And then he showed me
not
what
that you talked about
like-
poop that much, but
Yeah, well, we
Maybe.
actually, I mean, I'd ask questions because we weren't doing anything, so I was like, I might as well learn. And then he was talking about, like, you can tell bull piss as well, and it smells awful.
Wow.
Yeah. But we would come up to spots where like you'd be walking through the woods and it looked like a barnyard where there were so many elk there at one point.
Wow.
The problem is, so like depends on the wind, how the wind's blowing, because their wind or their smell is one of their biggest defenses. And so what they would do is, depending on where the wind was, so if the wind is blowing uphill, they would facing uphill to where they could see uphill, but the smell would come from uphill. And if it's blowing downhill, they'd do the reverse. And so basically they were just and it was super dry. So, I mean, creeping around in the woods was hard. There's a couple of days where they had some heavy dew, but for the most part, there was no real, I mean, we were at complete disadvantage.
Right. Can't be quiet then,
no,
right?
There was
just loud.
No quiet.
Yeah, and the wind was a big ordeal, like Richard's saying. That's one of their most natural instincts to tell if anything's in the area, you know, so it's a big ordeal.
Yeah.
So being in a stand has its advantages from being quiet, getting out of the way, and then...
And so when we got back to the lodge on day 2, everybody was kind of talking about how they hadn't seen anything. You know, they've done a couple different things. So all the guides got together and kind of came up with a plan to put guys at watering holes. So basically where a spring comes down, or a wallow, where a spring comes down and then somehow gets dammed up by either a tree or rock, or guys do it usually sometimes to make a wallow, and then they'll set up a stand. But these were all archery stands. So Matt got put in an archery stand they called the 12 because it was at the 12-mile marker.
What's the difference between an archery stand and another stand?
So an archery stand, you're not going to have as long of shooting lanes, basically, because you can only take a couple yard, or like 10 to 20 yards, or I guess 20 to 40 yard shot with a bow, versus with a rifle you can take a pretty decent shot. So
600 yards.
Matt was in a really good archery stand, and you can probably take it from there because I didn't see anything as well.
Right. So like Rich was saying, I was in a so-called archery stand, which typically they wouldn't use this time of year.
Okay.
But the conditions were kind of so poor for hunting because of the bluebird skies, the full moons are feeding at night. It's so dry you can't really sneak around. So they, there's watering holes. It was warm. So that's why I got to go that area. And it's really heavily brushed because archery, they got to get close. They can't see you. Got to get 40 yards. So didn't have a lot of visibility.
What's a shooting lane mean?
A lane where you can shoot.
Yeah.
But
so like an opening in the brush and the trees where you can get a shot.
So so like an archery stand would be more closed off than you're saying a
rifle.
Right.
Yeah,
because
rifle
it
would
be more to.
Right,
Okay.
rifle, you can reach out a lot further. Archery's really close, so you got to get the animals close to you, so you got to kind of be hidden.
Okay.
But anyways, on that day, I heard some animals coming down the hill, and I could tell they were elk, and they just didn't want to play with us. They came in about 40 yards, which is really, really close, but it's so heavy. I couldn't see them. All I could see was the top of one of their antlers, and I could tell it was definitely a shooter bull.
Yeah.
But there's a stipulation when you're hunting is they have to have a 6-inch brow tine.
4-inch.
A 4-inch, okay. A 4-inch brow. So brow tine is the antlers that come off around their face, and that's what makes it a legal bull to kill.
Gotcha.
Okay.
So Matt could only see the top.
I could only see the top,
no.
which I knew just from genetics and looking at photos of elks that it definitely had them. But he said in some instances that they do not, and it's a big ordeal to shoot one.
You have to turn it in, and like it's.
Right.
I mean, it's you get fined, and they confiscate the meat and all that stuff. So I mean,
not worth it to.
And that's another thing that people think hunters are just gonna shoot and kill anything. Like there's laws, there's rules, and most hunters, there are bad hunters out there, but you call those poachers,
right?
Are out there to just get a trophy or whatever.
Right.
So Matt,
being the sportsman side of it, you want to follow the rules and that kind of stuff. So, in that instance, I couldn't be 100% positive that it was legal. So, I didn't get the opportunity to take it. But
didn't you maybe find out later that?
Oh yeah. So it had a really distinctive color. The horns, it was like a deep chocolate color, which is not normal. So I went back and told the guy, I saw the top of his antler and it was really dark looking. Yeah. And he's like, oh yeah, I had that one on camera pre-season, and it was just it's a stud.
Oh jeez.
I was like, man,
So it's in close enough for a really good shot.
Oh yeah.
You just can't see it.
You could see enough, but you could see enough to make a clean, ethical shot.
Right.
But you couldn't see enough of the rack to make sure.
Oh.
And hindsight, some people might have taken it, but I didn't want to take that opportunity and mess it up.
Wow, how frustrating is that?
Well, it was on day 3, so it was a little bit, but we didn't really understand how
frustrating that was going to be.
Right. Wow.
Yeah. And so what happened was, we take Matt. So basically, the stand that Matt's in is here. We take him in, come out. We drive up and then we walked all the way around below him, way out or down and around him, and then back up to the top, and then took the road back to the truck. So me and Matt, the guide, are sitting there talking, and I'm relieving myself on the other side of the truck. And all of a sudden, it sounds like something is crashing through the brush 10 yards above us, because we're just kind of whispering, talking, because every time we'd get out of the truck, Matt would go, "No, this is elk country."
This is elk country. He was warning us not to be making a lot of noise.
So we're just
He's
like,
just trying to keep your hope alive.
and so we're peeing, or I'm peeing, and all of a sudden this elk's just crashing through the brush, just walking along like parallel to the road. So I'm like, "You hear that?" And he's like, "Yeah." So we start walking along the road. There's not a truck, not a car. Haven't seen anything in 3 days we've been there. Sure enough, car drives by.
Right in the middle
Oh
of
my
the
gosh.
Scares this elk up the hill.
So they're really skittish. Like
I mean, if you had somebody shooting at you, yeah, you'd probably be pretty skittish.
I mean, like our guide was telling us, their whole life is about surviving. You know, they
Right.
screw up one time and their
Yeah.
life's
They're
over.
dead. We
But-
screw up, we get to go home and eat. Yeah,
Right.
I mean, and these bulls, like and that's what we found out later is like where we were at is like almost expert level elk hunting, because you can go to some of these places, Colorado, Utah, where it's like more open and there's herds of them.
Big herds, yeah.
Where these are larger elk because they go up in the woods and hide and survive, and that's literally all these bulls do is they come down to mate. And then they go back up and hide and eat and get big.
Yeah, I think they called it high country is what we were
High country
hunting.
elk,
Right,
yeah.
yeah.
And so, but yeah, we didn't.
Yeah, the conditions aren't easy for shooting something.
No, not at all.
You really got to hunt.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then that was the day we saw a moose.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we saw
Moose.
moose. That was
How
really
close
cool.
was the moose?
That's cool.
I mean, we were driving in the truck and it almost
10
we almost
yards,
hit it. Yeah.
5 yards.
Oh my
How
gosh.
big was it?
It was a giant.
Wow.
Jeez.
It was
That's
really
really cool.
Every moose, I think, is a giant. I don't know the difference, but yeah.
Have you ever seen one in real life before?
Not before.
that? Wow.
It was cool.
That's really cool.
Day 4 for me was, like I said, the worst day. It was hard. It was mentally challenging. And then, so I told kind of the story of diving down the mountain. So we get back up to the top, and then Matt's like, "All right, I'm going to go pick up Billings. I'm going to take you on this Forestry Service maintained trail. You walk it like 2.5 miles, and then I'll pick you up after I get Matt." I was like, "All right, cool. This will be good." He's like, "It'll be a good afternoon hunt. You might, something might cross. You might hear something." He's like, "There might be some logging in the middle of it. So just if you get on that the logging mess," he's like, "just kind of skirt around it, and you'll eventually hit back the trail." 800 yards into this, I hit the logging mess, and so it was just junk down everywhere. It was just like trashed, and so like I'm trying to like up and over and down and around all these logs. I was so pissed at him. And then so I get to the middle. I never found the trail again. And he was like, "Well, don't go too far right because then it's going to take you a couple miles to get the road. If you go left, you're going to hit the road within at least a couple hundred yards." So I'm like, "All right, I don't want to like miss." Well, I got off in a little bit and found like an elk trail, and I was kind of a little bit proud of myself. I was like, "All right, I found an elk trail, found a ton of elk shit." And then I was like, "All right, I'm getting too far. I got to get back on." But it was all that day. I was like, "All right, this sucks. I'm ready to go home."
Yeah,
But
Rich got back to the truck. He's like, "How was your day?" And I was like, "Oh, it was a good day." He's like, "Oh man, mine was tough."
it's tough. It was tough. It was hard, but it was. I mean, that's part of it.
Did you ever feel lost in the woods at any point? Like I can't fathom you trekking 60 miles in the woods and understanding where you are and not
Honestly,
getting lost.
I've had a pretty decent bearing on where we were most of the time. There were some times I was like, I mean, you knew how to get back to the road or to wherever we got or wherever we were coming from. Matt took some.
Right. I was a little nervous about that because, you know, I can navigate my way around this area really well. I mean, but we'll probably get into this a little later as far as later on the days. But there's a couple times when, they would kind of give me some direction on where to go, and I would do some hikes by myself. And I was a little nervous about getting lost in Montana. Don't know the area.
I mean,
it's interesting, Rich. You like we talk about this. You have to be moving, and if anybody ever gets around you and experiences a day in your life, well, you're always moving. There's not a lot of sitting around. And so it's interesting because this environment basically trapped you.
Yeah,
you weren't really going anywhere,
right?
Other than you were doing this hunting thing, and but man, that mentally for you had to be kind of a challenge because you want to make things happen.
Yes and no, because I mean, I was trying to make things happen. We were moving, I was caught up in finding an elk. Like I didn't even care if we shot it. I wanted to see one at least, Right. So I mean, that was on my mind. I wasn't like, I'm losing my fitness or anything like that. It was like, all right, this is what we're doing. It was a competition really is what I got into. Like, and it was just I mean, it was fun. It was a cool.
It's a different level of patience, I guess. Is what I'm driving at.
Patience. Yeah, it was hard. Like I said, day 3 was hard. Or day 3 I was great. Day 4 I was starting to get a little worn down, a little bit, ready to be either find something or like I was frustrated at that point. Not give up, but I was frustrated.
Yeah.
But are you exhausted from like your senses standpoint? Because I feel like your senses would have to be so heightened because you're trying to be quiet, you're trying to use your eyes, you're trying to hear. Like,
mentally, emotionally, I was fried. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I was too. Because you're constant.
You're on all the time, and it's a different type on. Because like I was telling everybody, the last couple of months I've been traveling so much, speaking and, going to these different events and having to be outgoing and on all the time and talk to people, which I love, but it's not like second nature to me. Like it's just something that I've had to learn how to do. And so it was a completely different stimulus. And that, I mean, it was quite like the term deafeningly silent is real. Like you'd sit down sometimes and there's not wind blowing. There were no birds chirping. There were a lot of squirrels, but there were no squirrels. Like, and it just like almost starts ringing and everything starts like, I was crazy.
Yeah.
Like there were times.
Do I hear one?
Yeah. It was crazy.
Are you
start
hearing something?
Playing tricks on yourself. But yeah, day 4 for me, that was the sticking point for sure, where it was, all right, something's got to give here.
Right.
And then day 5, this was cool because the day 2, 3, and 4, I was kind of like, why are we even here? Like, why is Matt come? Why are we hunting together? Because we didn't hunt at all together, really. We would drop Matt off in the morning. We'd come back and get him in that evening.
Right.
So day 5 and 6 were fun because what we would do is we would hike in, a good, 4 or 5 mile hike.
Right.
Matt would sit in a stand, and then we would hike 4 or 5 miles and come back and get Matt or whatever it was.
Right.
Cool.
And so day 5 was a lot of fun. That was the day we climbed back up a different mountain because the day 2 and 3 we kind of stayed in the same area.
Yep,
we went to this different. It was steep.
Oh yeah.
It was.
He kind of gave me a little forewarning. This was no cakewalk here either.
It was harder than I thought, and we saw a ton of elk sign low. We got up to a different spot, didn't see as much elk sign. Then we got into a little bit deeper. We left Matt at the stand. That wasn't the high stand? Was it? Was that the high stand? No.
No, it wasn't. That was the last day.
And there was pretty steep climbs and descents. And then at one point, so we dropped Matt off, and we're walking, me and the guide, Matt, and we're walking, and we hear some creeping through the woods. And I'm like, we stop. These 3 doe kind of come out, white-tailed does come out, and they don't. I don't want to say they didn't see us, but they didn't usually they'll do this blow where they kind of warn and tell everybody else something's in the area, and so they just kind of keep walking their way. And so me and Matt take off again, and about 50 yards I just get that feeling like something's watching us, and so I stop and I look up, and sure enough there's this 10-12 point buck, whitetail buck, staring turned broadside at about 40 yards, and it was the biggest buck I've ever seen. I mean, whitetail is what we have around here, but it was bigger than anything I've seen around here. And it's just staring at us, and I'm like, Matt, what? And I'm like, and so he turns, and this thing just stares at us for 20 or 30 seconds, and then walks on.
Knows you don't have a tag.
Knows I don't have a tag. Can't shoot it.
You can't touch
biggest
me.
Biggest buck of my life probably ever seen. It was 160, 170 class.
That's what
I think Matt
There's
said.
a theme
Yeah.
on this hunt.
Yeah.
Right. We saw a lot of deer, a lot of mule deer, a lot of whitetail, but
a lot of people in the lodge were hunting mule deer,
Wow.
which we could have killed mule deer.
Yeah, I mean, and even at the lodge, there was only two animals killed. There was a mule deer. It was a pretty good sized mule deer, and then a small, barely legal bull, elk bull. It looked like a deer to me until you kind of really investigated it.
So it's pretty unanimous that everyone was kind of having the same
Everybody was
experience.
having tough times.
And we were probably seeing more game than everybody else.
I mean, we covered, like I said, we were covering a lot of ground. Then we got back that night, and it was pretty normal night. So we knew the last day going in, we had to do something, and we were kind of at the point where it's do we want to, we want to shoot something for sure. We want to bring something back, and we want the meat, but it's the hassle of trying to pack it out on the last day, getting it to the taxidermy, getting it fixed and all that stuff. But man, that day was hard. It was a lot of fun, but it was hard. It was up and down emotionally. You're like, oh yeah, we're here, and then you'd be like, all right, we're not seeing anything, and then yep, maybe no, nothing. It was rough. Lots of hiking, a lot more elk shit. Steep climbs, descents, mental ups and downs. You got to drink some Montana spring water.
Oh wow!
And then I did learn that elk will literally take a dump anywhere.
Okay.
Like I showed you guys all those like logs and stuff
Yeah.
down. There'd be in the middle of that. There'd be elk
Yeah.
feces everywhere. It's crazy. So we did a lot of a similar thing. We got Matt up in his stand. The video is hilarious. I don't know if I ever showed you guys the video, but trying to see Matt get into the stand was priceless.
Yeah.
How do you
it's-
get into a stand?
Well, there's different types of stands. This was like they call it a lock-on, so it's stationary. You put it up there and it's there for until you take it down. So whoever designed it had little like L type of handles that you got a hold of and put your feet in one, hand in one. Well, they made the steps go right underneath the
instead of around.
Yeah, so when you got there, you had to like kind of finagle a way around it. And
Oh, wow.
So Matt's got his gun on his back and he's hitting the thing. And it's just like tink.
This is the high stand you were talking about?
Echoing through the whole woods.
yeah, this
it
is the
was
high
good.
stand.
The high stand.
Jeez.
But I watched the video afterwards, and I didn't know Rich was videoing me first off. and
Right.
Of course.
He's narrating the video, so I have to
Oh
show
my
it to you.
gosh.
He's
Probably
like,
should post that.
Yeah.
he's
Yeah.
like,
That's
"Go-"
probably worth posting.
He's like, I'm going to the left. He's like, no, to the right. Of course, I can't hear him.
It's so
Oh,
good.
That's awesome.
I was just things to talk about. We kind of already talked about elk hunting is hard, especially in northwestern Montana, especially during a full moon, especially with bluebird skies in the wind when it's dry, not during the rut and when it's warm. That's
Okay.
that was literally our
So you
whole
had
deal
you were
right there.
dealing with some.
Yeah, and
Things.
typically, we went opening weekend.
Yeah,
so
of
that's
rifle.
A rifle, right? So that's like when everybody wants to go. And
It's usually end of the rut. Yeah.
right, but it just so happened it was terrible weather. But
Yeah.
What's amazing, if you go through all of that, you get to that last day where you're not even really sure if you had the chance to shoot, you'd want to pack the meat out.
Right.
But it just makes being successful on a hunt mean so much.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, for
You
sure.
know,
And if when we go back and if we harvest something, then
Not
it'll
that it
make
wasn't
so much more
successful
worth it.
because you got to hunt,
Right.
which is
Yeah.
pretty
Right.
amazing.
And that's
but
that's the difference in our. That's why it's called hunting and not just killing.
Right.
And that's what people don't understand is it's not
yeah,
you're
you just
not-
don't walk out there and see the first thing and get to take it back.
Sometimes you
with
do.
Yeah,
Sometimes
Right.
you do.
right,
Like,
right.
I just remember the first day we're like, man, what if we we get something the first day or two, like we can go
Coming
home
home
early.
early.
You know?
Yeah,
like,
right.
and by the end of it, you're just like, all right, we're not going home early.
yeah, we're here
it's
for a while.
amazing how fast that thought can leave
Gone.
your mind.
It was
Yeah.
gone.
You know, you're
it was
like, wow.
gone after that first day. You're like, wow, this is a lot harder than they make it sound. It was good though. Wilderness lunches. It was kind of took us back to like middle school where you're like trading things. Like
Right.
I'd get a because all the lunches were a little bit different. They would tell you what kind of sandwich was on there, but they wouldn't. You kind of look through the bag and see what
Yeah.
what
see what your goodies were.
yeah. And so you'd kind of trade. And the one day we made a trade. I had Reese's. He had Kit Kat, and he
We
wanted
made a trade.
and he wanted the Reese's, and I wanted the Reese's as well. But I gave him one Reese's. And he gave me half the Kit Kat. And then he didn't eat the other half of the Kit Kat, so I stole it that next night.
Yeah.
What do you think, like,
Stole it.
just for each of you, what's your personal frustration? What were you dealing with? If you were to say, but you were to analyze it now and go back, just knowing that this is the environment, this is the experience, what's your biggest frustration?
I think not seeing anything really.
Yeah.
I mean, I would have just liked to seen an elk to know they exist in that area. For me personally.
What about you?
I would agree. It's hard to put in that much effort and not get to see anything.
Right.
More than what we got to saw. But for me that first day it was. I mean, it was hard. Like Rich said, I think you left part of your soul on that mountain trying to get up and down it. But
Yeah.
other than that,
Yeah.
What are you thinking, like, and now what's the opposite? If you were to say at this point in the hunt, God dang it, you're in a beautiful place doing something that people dream about doing. What's the thing that hits you that you're like, man, this is awesome? What's that?
For me, it took me back to being a kid, being out here up in
Right.
the woods, like, playing out in the woods. Like, I did a lot of that as a kid. And so that's kind of what it took me back to, was like walking through the woods, playing games in the woods, playing Army or whatever it was.
Yeah.
But that's what it felt like. It really took me back for sure. It was fun.
Well, I just read this book called Going Wild, which is it's a really, really interesting book. But one of the points that it hits on is how primal hunting is, and how truly, like, it's like in the book, like they have so much science and research behind it. Like if you're struggling with something, like whether it be like physically or personally, they say going into the woods and being in nature and moving physically is one of the best ways to recalibrate.
right.
And he also goes and like he supports hunting and things like that. And he hits his point of, people look at hunters and call them murderers and all this. And he goes, but actually hunting and people who hunt are the most empathetic people because they're empathizing with the animal and what's going on. And it's just such like a misconception of like being a murderer. So it's almost like one of the most therapeutic things you can do in your life. And it sounds like you guys had so many, ups and downs.
Well, yeah, piggybacking off that is like if you don't control the numbers, either they're going to starve, there's going to be disease, or there's other predators that are going to kill them. So what, like people have been in the equation for how long?
Yeah.
Right.
Like don't, and the whole, well, that's what, because you have the vegetarians or vegans, and there's nothing wrong with that if that's your lifestyle and that's your choice. But don't push your views on somebody else. And the people that eat meat and are against hunting, that blows my mind. Absolutely. Like I think you're a coward. If you can't take an animal's life, but you can let somebody else take its life. And this animal's living out in the wild, had a good life until that point, obviously, but you could be saving it from something else that could be far worse. And it's just,
Well, for sure, in that whole circle of life, for sure, that bull elk's, that their lifespan is shorter as it relates to a human being.
Right.
And it's necessary if we're going to keep those populations healthy and safe.
Right.
Humans are in the equation. We must intervene.
Yes.
The money that
that's why there's a certain amount of tags, and it's all based on the previous year's numbers. And there's it's not like back years ago it was you just go and kill anything and everything, whatever you wanted. Now there's numbers, and there's you do have people that are do not follow the rules or laws, and those are poachers.
Yeah, and we don't advocate that.
We don't advocate that whatsoever.
Yeah. If you had the chance to kill an animal, you would be bringing meat that you paid a bunch for and you worked hard for.
Yes.
And you would bring it home and you would be using it. You already do that in your lives when you hunt here.
Right.
And it becomes just kind of a part of that whole cycle that's healthy.
Right.
It's beneficial and healthy.
Elk's crap everywhere. Yep. There was a lot of that. The lodge meals, food was good.
Oh, food was great.
You said you like smash PBJs. You want to explain that?
Yeah, so I would get the peanut butter and jellies. I just put them in the bottom of my bag and stuff all my other stuff on it, so it would smash everything
Are
together.
you on board with that, Matt?
Oh, yeah, man. It's
you like
delicious,
smash
right?
PBJs too?
Yeah, the guide walked into our room, and we had all our stuff spread out everywhere. And Rich has got a PBJ laying
From the
there.
day before.
He's like, oh, you left your sandwich. Rich is like, no, that thing's marinated.
It's good to go.
That's awesome.
So good.
What impressed you most about the guide, like the person who was kind of like the master of that craft?
For me, he tried so hard.
Yeah, he was. You could tell
legit.
on day 4 and 5, he was like not pressing, but he was getting frustrated. Like he was trying. Like it wasn't one of those where he's like, I'm gonna go. And that was the deal too. Is like he was talking to me, and I don't know if I ever told you this, but he's like, I know Matt wants to sit in a stand. He goes, but I want to give him the best chance. I don't want to go just stick. Like if we want to go walk, I could go stick Matt in a stand, but I wouldn't feel right putting him in a stand where I know nothing's gonna come. And so he's like, I'm just trying, because that was the hard part. He's got 2 people. Yeah. And logistically, he's like, all right, how can we get the most out of what we're doing, but him get the most out of what he wants to do? Mm-hmm. Right. And he was great at that. It was, man, I like Matt a lot.
Yeah, I think he'll be a close friend with us from here on out.
Yeah, we'll text now.
Was that his full-time job?
Matt Brown. No, he owns a logging company. But he guides a lot of stuff. And
it's interesting, too, that this whole idea of being fit to do that.
He was fit.
Is a thing.
Oh, yeah.
We walked everywhere. I mean, he's a woods guy. Like you can tell that's where he grew up. That's what he does. I mean, we were through the woods, up and down and over and around, and he was like, it was fun to like not have to worry about the person and them. He's like, no matter what we were going through, he's like, I didn't have to look back and make sure you're all right because you were right there. He said it was nice to have that. Yeah. And he said I got to hunt kind of how I would want to hunt. So
that kind of brings it back too. When we're sitting in the truck that first time when he's talking us, to go up this big mountain, and he's like, now, you guys are not going to be able to keep up with me. I knew I wouldn't. But in the back of my mind, I'm like, I don't think he realizes, really what caliber of guy Rich is. He doesn't know that he's the fittest man in the world.
He kind of spilled the beans about halfway through the day. So when we're walking back down the one day, he's like, so he kind of mentioned that you compete working out. What is that? And so I had to kind of go through the whole spiel.
There's funny stories about hunting around here, and there's 3 or 4 dudes who have turkey hunt with you. Yeah. And they don't ever do it the second time.
No, not usually. Matt doesn't like it.
Because, you're going to go all over this place at 1 million miles an hour.
We're trying to find something.
And they're either going to keep up or they're not going to keep up.
It's kind of like how it works with everything else. So
I was going to say,
you're making sure people are safe. And we're here, and this is your home, and we know where we're at. But you got You got to step up and keep moving, you know?
Yeah.
It's that way in the gym, and it's that way on the mountain.
You either hang or
There's
you
a
don't.
theme here.
Yeah.
We had fun. I mean, he was like I said, he was fit. He was a good dude. I think after the day one, he kind of figured out that I could go wherever he wanted to go.
Yeah, he told me actually it was the first time that he had ever had anybody that could go like Rich.
Oh,
and
wow.
Right.
That's
So
cool.
he was excited about
We had a good
being
time.
able to do
That's awesome.
the furthest extreme of
Yeah.
what he could do.
Well, that's kind of cool to know that you at least address that. Did he mention, like, I'm sure that it's nature and the animals are going to do what they're going to do, but does he say he sees them often? Like, was this a unique situation? Like, how often does he actually see elk?
He would go home, and he said there was a huge bull in their field, like feeding in the pasture, but it's private land, so we were hunting public land.
Gotcha.
And so it's all, forestry stuff. And so you couldn't go to those areas.
Right.
And so that's just, I mean, they were kind of down in the fields a lot, and they were
to
in
the
the
full
fields
moon,
at night.
at night.
So there was just no.
But he usually does see more.
Oh yeah, I mean, he
yeah,
was telling
most
us
definitely.
he
He said that's the hardest he's ever hunted
and not seen
and not
anything.
Wow.
seen any more than what he saw.
Wow.
That's unbelievable.
So the elk that you saw in the stand on day 2 ended up being
it.
That was
That
it.
was it.
I can't
Besides
believe it.
the first day we saw.
First day, but we saw. I mean, they were a mile away.
Right.
We
Right.
saw
But
them
you
through
had
a telescope.
Actually, within range, that was on the elk.
Wow.
Wow.
We saw a lot of deer, but
Yeah.
Right.
we
So
didn't see any other. We didn't see predators or anything. We didn't. No bear, no wolves. So they're starting to have a problem with wolves out there. So they told us to get a wolf tag, but we didn't see.
Was there any danger of bears? Was that anything?
He said, he carried a 45 on his hip the whole time. But he was like, we're not going to have to worry about grizzlies in this area if you go more into the wilderness, kind of back.
Across the river or whatever.
Yeah,
he
they
said.
don't like to be around people.
Right.
wow.
Interesting.
So Rich learned about elk poop.
A lot of elk poop.
What did you learn? I mean, it doesn't even have to be about that. I mean, it could be personally or in the woods.
Well, the amount of sign that I saw. So a sign is like
Rubs.
trails, rubs. Elk go through a ritual as far as they're like have terrain where they're more dominant and that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So the amount of sign that I saw was interesting to me because I never saw that much animal sign. There's trails everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Everywhere. And they're wide. Like we have whitetail trails, but these elk trails were huge.
I mean, what does an elk sound like coming through the woods compared to a deer? Because I mean, you've heard like breaking sticks and things. I mean, is it
Right.
really loud or no?
We don't know.
Yeah, the ones I saw were
I don't know.
it sounded like a herd of elephants coming down. But and I asked Matt about that, our guide, and he said this kind of depends on the the atmosphere. If they don't think anything else is in the area, they're going to not take their time. They're going to walk at a brisk pace. If they think something's in the area, they're going to kind of poke around and sneak.
Wow.
Wow.
So they were loud, the ones I heard, but
Yeah.
The
I
truck
didn't hear any. Well, I might have heard one, but we couldn't really get to it, so it didn't matter. Yeah, the lodge meals were really good too. So like they had, these ladies that would, I think it was one of the owner's wives,
right.
or daughters,
Daughters,
and
yeah,
then
daughters.
one of the other guides' wives. They would cook dinner every night. And so
It was
really good.
really good food. Ribs,
So when you're rolling,
ribs.
at the end of the day and you're getting back, are you just exhausted, having dinner and
Yeah.
just passing out,
Yeah.
or
Yeah, so basically we'd get back at 8:30ish, 8:30. Dinner's usually served at 8, and then we would talk to our wives. I'd talk to the kids, and then
we were always back later than everybody too.
yeah, because we were
we were the
out.
last ones to eat.
So you're just hustling, trying to get that elk.
Right.
So you just kind of get your stuff, go to bed. We'd go take a shower, go to bed, and get back up. I mean, it was literally sun up to sundown. We were doing something.
Wow. That sounds
and
pretty
you guys did come home maybe a half a day early or something, right?
Well, actually, not early, but we thought it was. We booked our flights a day later than what we really should have. So we did come
It's
back.
a 6-day hunt.
6
Matt
day
thought it
hunt.
was a 7-day hunt.
Right.
Wow.
Oh, gotcha.
So we hunted the full entire length of our hunt, but we thought it was a day longer.
And so
Wow.
we came home a day early from our flight. What we had as our flight.
Well, so now that you've done elk, is that still the favorite thing for? I mean, is that
I'm
the
not
favorite
giving
thing?
up on it.
Well,
Oh, no.
no, I don't. But is that your favorite thing to hunters? Like, I mean, Rich, turkey still run your life. Matt, what's your favorite?
For me, turkey is fun because it's here in my backyard. I can go out. I don't have to
Easy. You like turkeys
do
too,
anything
Silver.
like that.
Matt
So
took me for the first time this year turkey hunting. So
for me, turkey, obviously, but I mean, I really enjoy. I mean, if there were elk here, I would go hunt elk.
Right.
Like it just kind of depends.
Wow.
With whitetail, I'm not a big fan of just sitting around. That's the hard part for me in whitetail. And to be successful in a
Right.
whitetail hunt, you're going to need to sit some.
And my favorite hunt is whitetail. Now elk, I'm not experienced enough to know. I mean, I had a great time.
Yeah.
Definitely we're gonna go back and we're gonna get an elk, but my favorite hunting is whitetail. I just grew up doing a lot of whitetail hunting. And
So do you guys prefer guns or bows if you had to choose? Or if you had the option, I guess.
Each has their place, I guess.
Right. I mean, bow hunting's fun. It's more of a challenge, and gun hunting's fun because, it has its challenges also.
Mm-hmm.
So
you like both?
I like both, right.
Kind of equally.
What about you, Rich?
I mean, I've only hunted deer with a bow, and I've only hunted turkey with a shotgun. I've never really hunted with a rifle, so I don't.
Right.
I mean, I've hunted elk with a rifle, but didn't take a shot. So, I think if we go back elk hunting, I want to go with a bow. One, because they'll be during the rut,
Right,
and
yep.
two, I think it just suits more my hunting style a little bit.
Okay, what's a rut?
That's their breeding time.
Oh, okay. You said that, and I keep thinking of like a dip in the ground.
No, the rut.
When they're walking along the rut.
That's pretty funny.
Okay, well, now that I know what that is, I feel better.
Is no service anywhere in eastern or western Montana. Not anywhere. You get in like the most random remote spot, and there'd be 4 bars of service, and then you'd go to this spot where you're like, oh, this is gonna be a perfect spot for
Makes
service.
you wonder if there's like a government building underneath that ground there or something.
And also like the all day. Like when I would sit in a stand, we'd get there before daylight, and I'd leave after dark, so it's an all day sit, which is. It's hard.
Yeah.
That is, you have to be so patient to do that.
Sit there still and you're constantly looking for a little movement.
What's going on in your mind the whole time?
That's what I mean. I was literally just thinking the same thing. What are you thinking about?
I'd lose my mind.
Oh man, just thinking about the hunt. A little praying. Just
for sure.
Yeah.
But
get your quiet time in.
But sometimes you'd sit there all day, and then next one you'd have a little stuff on service, so it makes it a little easier. But
yeah.
Was it cool to just kind of get away from all the multimedia? Instagram, all that,
was
just kind
awesome.
of be gone. And
Yeah, it was great.
Check out.
That was nice. Just check out with that.
I did make some posts.
Off the grid.
People loved that.
Well, I know Bennett Industries is going crazy, and you're working hard, so it's kind of nice. Probably you got a baby coming here pretty quick.
Yeah.
Your first one's on the way,
Yeah,
so I know
3 weeks.
for you this was
Wow.
one of those.
I still can't believe she let you go.
Yeah.
Well,
I got
for you
awesome
guys-
wife.
She's pretty awesome.
Yeah,
you
she
guys,
is.
it's kind of maybe one of your last opportunities before you have that responsibility and that
Right.
new joy
Yeah.
in your life to get
Yeah.
out and maybe do some hunting. And
Yeah, it was fun, and it was nice leaving work, and then getting a little break and coming
Yeah.
back and
Yeah.
getting back to the swing of things.
right.
Well, you guys have so many miles together. What's something that
Who was Chuck? I wrote old Chuck. Who
Oh,
was
Chuck is the guy. It was his last hunt.
Oh yeah, Chuck. He was a cool dude. He was an older guy. It was his last kind of hoorah. He's got cancer. He was awesome though.
Yeah, he was a
super
good dude.
nice
He was
guy.
there just to kind of
Somebody you met in the lodge.
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, and so that was kind of the thing we noticed is there's, they'll cater to whatever hunting style somebody wants to do, and they have options for everybody, which was kind of cool. Like
Yeah, this guy he couldn't.
he couldn't have.
Yeah,
I
they
mean,
probably took him and set him on the side of a hill, and that was what he wanted
wow.
to do.
Right. Wow.
So
did you guys meet a lot of people in the lodge? Like any other?
yeah, we met
Interesting people?
Some,
Yeah, we met-
guys from North Carolina.
Right.
We met some guys from Minnesota.
Yeah, actually, Facebook friended
Oh,
the
did
guys
you?
from North Carolina.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, Wolf.
Was it Wolf?
Wolf,
Nice.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so it was fun. It was a
Will
good
you
time.
go back there then? Is this a place
Oh
that
yeah,
you would
for
go
sure.
back?
Yeah, we got to go
specifically?
back. We can't.
Yeah.
Can't not go back
Right.
there. Like it's almost like unfinished business.
Yeah.
That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah. That's a
It's
good
got
way
to be
to
a little
look at
competitive now.
Right,
it. Oh my gosh, without question.
Yeah.
So maybe going, like you said, in the rut sometime.
in
when,
the rut.
right. Yeah, that's what our guide also recommended, to just get there, go during the rut. It increase our
And-
chances.
And the deal is I could do a little bit more sneaking around, and he could do stand stuff, or both, because that time it works a little bit better for that
Right,
stuff
that's
too.
more prime time for that type of split up hunt.
What else would you do different? I mean, going back, is there anything you do that's different? I mean, you had the right rifle, you had the right equipment?
Yeah, I mean, we had everything. I would get so we just use backpacks. This company that sent us the larger packs, they make a day pack, and I would wear that as well. Outdoorsman, I would wear that because
It was more
I
comfortable.
I left it, and because I didn't think we would need it, and I wish I would have brought it. I almost left my backpack actually.
Oh, yeah, at the airport.
gate.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so
jeez.
we both basically had the same backpack. I had just a normal CrossFit backpack. Well, Matt brought me like kind of a the
Brown,
military
military
tan,
style.
backpack. So I switched everything over, and so we go to check our stuff because we had to check the guns at the gate
Right.
or at the when we got our tickets and stuff. And so we check our stuff. I put my backpack down, and I don't remember if you did something, and I went to just pick up. I picked up one of the backpacks because they're both the same, and I didn't think about it. Put it on my shoulders, And Matt just kind of followed along. We got through security, taking everything out of the bag. And Matt's like, let me have my backpack. And I was like, what are you talking about?
Take my computer out, for security.
And I'm like, oh man, I left my backpack. It was all the way back, and it just was sitting there.
Jeez.
You know, like the whole
no.
don't leave your bags unattended. This bag's just sitting there.
Very unattended.
I watch Rich grab my bag, and I'm like, oh, he's gonna carry my bag. What a nice
good
guy.
dude.
Yeah. And he's like, give me my bag, and I'm like, this is my bag, bro. And he's like, that's mine. Yeah.
Jeez.
Well, what's next on the hunting front? Do you got something coming up soon? I mean, you're always hunting somewhere, man. What's your
Whitetails?
Whitetail muzzleloader opens tomorrow, and so I'm sure Rich and I, and you will be doing some
You
hunting
got
here.
some pretty good pictures of some deer at one of the stands, right?
Yeah, we got some good game pictures. Checked them, last weekend?
Last weekend.
Yeah, I like to leave them there for about a week or two and
Yeah.
go see what we got to track down.
Yeah, right on.
Oh, that's awesome.
Hopefully there's a big old buck on the mountain somewhere
right.
just waiting.
Elk
Just
somewhere.
waiting for
Yeah,
you.
elk migrated all the way.
Yeah. One followed you back for redemption.
That's right.
Jeez.
Couldn't shoot it though. Tennessee,
yeah.
Tennessee
It
laws.
would just be your pet elk.
That's right.
That's awesome.
Trying to think anything else. That's pretty much all the hunting stuff. We learned new terms. 6x6. They don't go like
12.
12 point or whatever, anything like that. Blow down.
Yeah.
It's just all those trees blown down.
Some of those pictures you showed me were crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like
crick.
Oh,
They
yeah.
don't call them creeks. They call them cricks.
Yeah,
Crick.
yeah, I've heard that one before.
Huh.
Trying to think of
Hunting
what else.
vocabulary.
I think that's pretty much it.
Well, I want to know just a basic one life question at least from your history is
Oh, boy.
Oh, yeah.
what's one thing that Matt has taught you, Rich, and Matt, what's one thing Rich has taught you or that you've learned from that person?
Taught us or like learned from
Learned
their
from.
experience?
That's not taught. Learned from.
Oh man.
Besides, don't turn your back on the other one.
Yeah, that's right.
That's about it.
No, I mean Matt's like, I'm not just saying that because he's here, but he's like the gold standard of what your friend is. Me and Jim have talked about this before. Like, Matt has been my friend longer than anybody and most consistent. You know, we can not see each other for a couple weeks and, you know, pick up right where we left off. And, you know, doesn't do CrossFit. He's tried it a couple times, but doesn't do really any fitness. And, but we're still, you know, still friends. And so like literally we've talked, and that's, you know, you don't have to worry about that type of friend. Like,
Right.
he's literally there all the time, and so that shows you who your real friends are.
It's crazy when you know that person's there for you.
Yeah.
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 They're not there for anything else
Right.
other than you.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, the same goes for me. You know, we've been best friends for 25 plus years, and
Jeez.
you know, we grew up being buddies, and then we got to live next door to each other. And as now we're adults, you know, we get to live
Next to
beside
each other
again.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
it's kind of cool. We had an awesome upbringing. You know,
Yeah.
we ran all over this mountain, and like I said, we did the most dangerous things you could do as kids, and our parents didn't know.
Stupid things.
Stupid. And now it's cool that we're both, you know, starting to raise families, and they're going to get to experience the same thing
Yeah.
we did.
yeah.
That's really cool.
One of the things, and I don't mean to make it too heavy, but we don't have enough deep, meaningful relationships, especially
No.
men in
Yeah.
our culture,
Yeah.
healthy ones, where you know you could say anything you want to that person, and
Yeah, I
they're
could
gonna
literally go to Matt with anything. And,
Yeah.
and
Right.
I know it's going to stop there, and he's going to give me some type of advice.
yeah, you're gonna get the truth.
Yep.
And it's something you can count on one way or the other, and those are, I mean, I think I envy that. You know,
Right.
I have that in a couple places in my life, and I'm always very envious. And that's, you want to talk about in the rank of importance in our lives. That's
Yeah.
a big freaking deal.
For sure.
Yeah, it's cool that you guys got to do this hunt thing together.
Yeah.
Because
Jeez.
it's, you know, you started there as kids, and
Right.
you get to
Yeah.
experience it now. And
Yeah, it's a good opportunity.
Yeah, it was fun.
Oh, that's
I don't
awesome.
even know what time we're at, do you?
I have no idea. I didn't
I
start
think
a
we're
clock.
about an hour.
You can do one story, Elly. You can ask one story.
Oh, can I do three quick ones?
Okay.
Okay. First, and this is for both of you, so it's for what
right.
was each other. What was the other person like in school? Like quiet, class clown, whatever, ladies' man, you know. What was each one like?
Oh man, Matt.
What?
Just how much you can say, right?
Yeah.
It's being recorded.
Yeah, it's being recorded.
This will be in history
Trying to
forever.
think.
Yeah,
Speak
ever.
wisely.
I wouldn't say. I don't know. Matt didn't have like a special, like, you weren't with one group all the time. He had, I guess, bits and pieces of different things going on.
Yeah.
Okay, so Rich is pleading the fifth on your whatever quality you had was really exemplary, and Rich is pleading the fifth on it.
Yeah,
I do remember Matt got in some fights a couple times in school.
Okay,
And
so
usually, and always won the fight, and they were always pretty entertaining. But it was usually for the right reason.
So
it
you're a
wasn't
natural
like,
protector.
His,
Good.
yes,
Right.
his, like one time his cousin was getting picked on, so Matt beat the crap out of the kid. Another one was because of a girl, but still.
You never know. Rich. So Rich was always, baseball in it and
Yep.
super athletic, super
so jock.
jock, yeah. But also really academic also. So he was kind
Rich
of.
was academic.
I mean,
I'm
he
not
was
as
smart.
stupid as I look.
He
Well,
was
I didn't think you were
smart
stupid.
guy.
Matt would call me sometimes because we, like this was back in the days of like instant messenger stuff, and he'd
Oh,
be
gosh.
like, "Hey, how do you spell whatever it was?" While he was talking to somebody.
Yeah, I'd be trying to talk to some girl on Facebook or
that was
Instagram.
before like Google
Oh,
or
yeah.
something.
MSN Messenger.
How
How do you spell?
I like that you're checking your grammar. You
That's
know?
right.
Yep.
Keep it real.
That's right.
First Hollywood crushes. Who was the first chick when you guys were like in, your third grade going, oh my gosh.
And I had a poster of Jessica Simpson in my,
Yeah.
my
Jessica
bedroom.
Simpson.
Dukes of Hazzard.
Dukes of Hazzard,
Oh, yeah.
I had that poster.
So that was
Yeah.
unanimous.
Yep.
Did you guys ever take part in like a school play or show or anything like that? Were you like trees
No.
or?
No.
No. I was
Logs.
in 6th grade. You had to. I was in the Nutcracker.
Oh,
I was
yeah,
a soldier.
I think I was a mouse.
I was a soldier. I
Best
died.
birthday party
Hmm.
that you both attended, like when you're in your youth.
Party or birthday party?
Well, okay, you can say party.
Yeah.
Now you're going to high school.
Birthday partying.
Yeah.
We had the one party at your dad's house when.
Oh, we got in big trouble for that one.
Right.
Do you remember that time we went to a party and we would get aggressive at times with each other,
Oh, yeah.
joking around,
Right.
and I threw you into the stairs.
Oh, jeez.
Or no, some bushes. We went into some bushes and it like cut your eye.
Yeah.
And your mom.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Rich we'd always scuffle. It's like, we grew up as kids fighting on the trampoline, so
Yeah.
it didn't end ever.
It didn't
Maybe
end.
as adults it ends now, but
Yeah, right. Good luck.
but yeah, we would always like start pushing one another, and we were at some party, and yeah, he shoved me off the porch into the bushes, and
Cut his eye. And
Cut
we
his eye.
kinda had to tell his mom. I don't even remember what we told her. But
We
it
didn't
was
tell
in
her.
college. So.
right.
Oh, wow. That was later.
But yeah.
Did you ever have a secret handshake?
No. I don't think
Come
so.
on. You've been friends forever. You don't have a dang secret handshake? Well, you should
Yeah.
probably make one now.
No.
No.
Dudes don't do that, Elly.
Yeah, they
Just-
do.
No, they don't. But that's okay.
Not regularly.
Just a good firm handshake.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there anything that you struggled with that the other one taught you?
Struggled with?
Yeah, like, maybe you couldn't read. Maybe you weren't good at math.
No, we didn't really teach
Maybe-
each other. We taught each other what not to do a lot.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, that's off experience.
Yeah. We never dated the same girl either.
No.
Did we? No.
No.
Never had that thing. We had one of our buddies that did.
Oh yeah,
That wasn't good.
that was awkward a little bit.
That was awkward. What did you think Rich was going to be growing up, and what did you think Matt was going to be when he grew up?
I thought Matt was gonna be in jail at one point.
Yeah, I mean, I'm probably the only person that could ever touch on this, but it's really cool to see where Rich is now. Mm-hmm. When we were kids, of course, he was super fit and, baseball, football. And it's really cool to see, like, he's the CrossFit,
Yeah.
fittest man in the world. And we never would have dreamed that growing up. We
Yeah.
were just kids, competitive kids, and it's really cool to see where he's at now.
That's awesome. Rich, what did you think Matt was going to be?
Honestly, I don't know. I mean, he was really good. Like, he did some, rode motorcycles, did some motocross stuff, raced some like flat track stuff at the fair a lot,
Right.
and did really well at that. He worked at the motorcycle shop in town. We were both firefighters together for a while.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I don't know if I really. It's hard to say what you thought they were going to do because I didn't even know what I was going to do at the time.
Right.
But you always knew whatever he did, he was going to be successful at. So
Yeah.
We both were hard workers growing up, so
yeah.
we knew we were going to do well.
our parents,
Both of you, it's pretty organic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just kind of, you've grown up here, you've grown up together, and
Yeah.
it has become what it's become.
Yeah. Whose parents were more strict?
Oh, definitely mine.
Yours way
Yeah.
more than mine. Mine
parents-
were never.
Yeah. My parents were strict. My Rich's were.
I got one story. We show up to church one time. Matt has a black eye.
Oh, man.
And his mom comes up to my mom. She's like, "Hey, can Matt stay at your house for a little while?" And we were like, what, 14?
Right.
So
13,
Matt-
maybe 14.
13, 14. Matt had this. His dad bought him this single cab. It was a sweet little Toyota truck. I mean, when you're a kid, you're like, man, that's awesome. Single cab, 4-wheel
Yeah.
drive, manual truck. And we we learned to drive before we were 15 and 16. Like
Right.
we were out here in the middle of nowhere. Our parents taught us how to drive. So Matt was driving back and forth just to get the mail.
Mile-long driveway.
Matt has a decently long driveway. It was gravel at the time. Well, it's wide open, then narrows into some trees, and then opens back up by the road. Well, Matt, you got it a little squirrely trying to, I don't know, do what he was doing, and centered a tree going, 40, 50,
Oh my
something like
gosh.
that.
Yeah. This is a new truck too.
Not a
wasn't
brand new truck, but it was a nice,
New
like
to
it would
you.
have been
Centered.
a good
Does that mean hit it
dead center,
Head on.
front impact,
Oh, no.
and like ruined this truck.
Yeah, airbags deployed, busted at the windshield with my head.
Jeez.
And so he stayed with us for a couple of days so his dad didn't kill him.
Yeah,
Oh my gosh.
I think
Your recovery was with them.
Yeah, I don't know if he was more mad than scared. He's like, how can my 13, 14-year-old son total his truck in my driveway?
Getting the mail.
Getting the mail.
Oh my
And basically,
gosh.
did they just like, you need to go to the Fronings? You need to.
Yeah.
My mom
his
was
mom
like,
was like-
you got to leave home for like a day or two.
You gotta vacate.
Let your dad calm down.
Oh my gosh. Okay, last question. What's something people don't know about Matt? What's something people don't know about Rich? Or maybe like an interesting, it doesn't have to be like doesn't know, but like something interesting about them that maybe doesn't come up. These are hard.
This
Sorry.
is
It's hard.
this is a good question.
I mean, you've known each other forever.
But I don't know what people don't know about Matt.
Right.
Something
Or things
interesting.
that Matt wants people to know that. They don't know.
That's most important there.
Well, you're
Yeah.
getting ready to have your first child. That's
Right.
That's huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did you get involved with the company that you're doing? Because you were firefighting, and now you're doing.
Right.
Your industry's really cool. Can you explain that for a second?
I can. Of course, I'm a co-owner of Bennett Industries, and we're a metal fabrication manufacturer type place. And I just knew I wanted to own my own business and do something for myself one day. And so myself, my brother, and David Prowse are partners in this company. And I don't really know how it came about. Just a conversation and led into
Right.
something else.
So
How
what's
could-
like something you make? Or go ahead.
Yeah. Well, I was just how could people
Yeah.
find you?
Facebook, website,
Yeah. What's the website?
www.bennettindustries.com.
You guys have. We were. Where were we at when? Up on the square. What was the event? Was
Oh
going
yeah,
on?
we did.
The fire pits are incredible.
Yeah, we
that you
did
guys
some
make.
custom fire rings with logos on the
Yeah.
side. You know, they're pretty cool.
Yeah.
We do metal fabrication, precision machining, powder coating, and small and large scale production.
Yeah.
That's why I ask what you make, because to me, I don't really know what that means. But you always come over with these really cool things that you've made
Right.
for people, and I'm like, those are awesome.
Yeah, basically we do anything out of structural metal. It's kind of hard to explain because
Yeah.
it's a big realm of things, but
That's really neat. That's awesome.
That's awesome. You got a great wife. She's awesome.
oh yeah,
she's amazing.
Yeah, Kelly.
Kelly's the best.
She's a PA here in town, right?
Yeah,
Or did I say
she
that
works,
right?
Yeah, she's a physician assistant. She works for
Hi,
Tier 1
Kelly.
Orthopedics.
Yeah. Right on.
That was awesome. Thank you guys
What-
for sharing all that hunting stuff too.
Great. It's awesome. Let the haters hate.
Yeah.
All right. CrossFitMayhem.com, MayhemMindset.com.
Hey, that's
Plug yours, Matt, what do you got? Your website.
Oh, BennettIndustries.com.
There you go. Cool. All right. Episode whatever, 50 something. Peace.